The first sutta was the Dhammacakka Sutta, the first sermon. After that was delivered, only Kondanya developed the understanding and become a Sotapan. Then the Buddha followed with this Anattalakkhaṇa Sutta. Then all of them become enlightened. The reason why it is possible is because the understanding is the five aggregates of form and mind is impermanent. They go the way of nature. They follow the pancha niyama. You want things your way, you suffer. That's why the characteristics of impermanent leading to suffering is very obvious. Yeah. Then after that, what happened is the Buddha used the five analogy to let the bhikkhu understand that this five aggregate of form and mind not only is impermanent, is also not a permanent, unchanging entity where you can deludedly cling on to, grasp onto, hold on to and say, this is me, this is I, therefore all these are mine. In actual fact, none of this is a permanent, unchanging entity. That's why in the Anattalakkhaṇa Sutta, or they call it the Sutta or discourse on the characteristics of non-self. Here the English translation is not so good. Yeah. Because the way it's worded is not clear. Yeah. In fact, there is another version which I saw in the early days. A very thin book. I think that translation was better. But that translation actually explained a lot of things. Yeah. He said, if form is self, means this physical body is you, belong to you, then you can command it and tell it not to get old, not to grow old, get sick and die. But because you cannot. That's why he said, form has this problem. It is non-self, not a permanent, unchanging entity. If it's self, it will not tend towards suffering. You understand or not? Then feeling is the same. If feeling is you, self, then it will not tend towards suffering. Because when feeling arises, when unpleasant feeling arises, you feel the suffering, understand or not? Then when feeling transforms from pleasant to unpleasant, it is a characteristic of impermanence. And when it transforms, it changes from pleasant to unpleasant, you didn't die. You didn't die means what? It is not you, understand or not? That's why in that sense, through my meditative understanding, I came to understand it very clearly. Form go the way of nature. It has the unique characteristic of impermanent, where it's dependent originating, condition arising, causal phenomena. If it's me, if it's really a permanent, unchanging entity, then it will not tend towards suffering. Yeah. Then he repeat for all the other aggregates of mind. So when I saw it in my awareness meditation, I realized feeling come and go, I didn't die. Perception arise and pass away, I didn't die. Sankhara arise and pass away, I didn't die. Consciousness arise and pass away, I didn't die. So how can that aggregates of mind, the four aggregates, feeling, perception, sankhara and consciousness, be me? Understand or not? If it's not me, then how come they arise in me? That was the inquiry I developed. Yeah. So we cannot deny that this five aggregates of form and mind, initially before you have the wisdom, you may think it's you, understand? Like I say, you want it to laugh, it laughs. You want to run, you run. You want to walk, you walk. You want to do whatever you can. So you believe you can control it. Ability to control doesn't mean it's yours, understand? Like the car. You can maneuver it, control it. You want to speed out, you want to brake, you want to turn or do whatever that is within this design, you can. But it doesn't mean it's you, because these are all condition arising state. Any of the causes and conditions not there, like the car, it cannot run ready. You put in a Formula 1 driver also, it cannot run ready. Like the physical body, physical form, it's the same. So when I look at it, I reflected on it, then I realized all this is impermanent, because they come, they go. And it cannot be me, because when they come and go, when they arise and disappear, I didn't die. Then the inquiry is, I have to understand, if they are not me, why did they arise in me? Then who am I? What am I? That's why after that, I developed the pure awareness nature. Then I observe. Then true enough, exactly like what the Buddha mentioned, all my mind state, they are dependent originating, condition arising, cause of phenomena. Then I reflected on the physical form. Same, it goes the way of nature. It's not a permanent unchanging entity where you can cling onto, grab onto and say, forever remain young. Don't get old, don't get sick, and don't die. But it can't, because this is not you. It's not a permanent unchanging entity. Then I saw everything follow the nature's law, the universal order of the Pancha Niyama. That's why from there, I came to the realization that this form and mind is not me. Then because of the karmic conditioning, everything, I also come to realize this one is karmically conditioned out for my nature to come to this existential world, to live life, to fulfill its vow, to go through the karmic process, and to do what you want with this vehicle and tool. That's why from there, my nature penetrated this deep meaning of anatta. Means anatta is not only not non-self, or it is not self. Means that thing exists, but not real, not what you think. And you cannot own it, you cannot possess it, and you cannot hold on to it or cling on to it, because they are dependent originating, condition arising, and the condition will manifest this way. Exactly like what the Buddha has actually taught us. Whatever arises, there are causes and conditions. So when you start to see this, then you understand. Then when I look at the Anattalakkhaṇa Sutta, I realize what the Buddha meant was different. He said, is the physical body self? Yeah. Then he told the monk, if it's self, it will obey you, understand? It will not tend towards suffering. That one easy to understand, isn't it? Then he applied to all the other aggregates. Then after that he said, this physical body, is it permanent or impermanent? Then they realize it's impermanent. And he said, that which is impermanent and having the characteristics of impermanent, is it pleasurable or painful? It's obvious, isn't it? Because it is dependent originating, condition arising. So it's painful. That's why you have to experience old age, sickness and death. You have to go through the reality of life and existence. Then after that, he came out with a final conclusion. He said, that which tends towards suffering and impermanent and develop all the whatever painful condition when it arises. Is it right for you to say this is me, this is I, therefore all this can be mine? Then the monk, all the five ascetics suddenly wake up, because nobody have explained this to them. Because they take for granted that this body is so real, and the aggregates are like the feeling is real, is me. Perception is real, the thought is real, there's a thinker behind the thought. But all these are Sakkaya Ditthi. That's why from there, the bhikkhu, they came to that clear understanding. They answered, no, no way. Because this form, feeling, perception, sankhara and vijnana, they are just the aggregates that arise and pass away, dependent, originating. So if they tend towards suffering, how can it be you? How can it be a permanent, unchanging entity? That's why they see the delusion. Then not only that, is it? That thing is dependent, originating. That's why it is impermanent. It keeps on evolving and change according to condition it arises. When condition cease to be, it ceases to be. That's why this Anattalakkhaṇa Sutta is a very powerful sutta to give you penetrative insight to realize that this is not you. So from my own meditative understanding and realization, I add in this part. Just now I already told you, this physical body, this feeling, this perception, sankhara and vijnana, is it you? Then I show you. When it arises and passes away, especially feeling, you didn't die. So how can it be you? Then similarly for the other mind state. Then this physical body is only element, understand? Go the way of nature. How can it be you? There is no consciousness. And the consciousness that is trapped inside is not you. It's a separate entity, karmically conditional. That's why from there you realize the five aggregates of form and mind, they are impermanent, tends towards suffering. That's why it cannot be you. It's not a permanent, unchanging entity. And that delusion just evaporated. The understanding transformed. So hopefully this Anattalakkhaṇa Sutta, when you really develop the meditative understanding through the awareness-based meditation, you will see it very clearly. Then that Sakkaya Ditthi or self-delusion will be rooted out. There and then, gone. Then whoever come and tell you after you die what happened, or say, you know, this person don't understand. Yeah, basically this is not you, understand? No. What is death? Who died? What died? Just now I asked you there. You know what is death or not? Separation of the consciousness from the form. When the causes and condition, no more. When the three supporting conditions that manifest the living being cease to be, then that living being cease to be. That's why you say die. Actually no one die. It's just separation of the physical with the consciousness. And why the physical must separate? Because the organ, they already no more performing the function. Then the consciousness that is trapped inside cannot stay there already. Because the organ all break down already. It cannot give rise to consciousness anymore. Then the most important one is the life force. Your karmic force, that trigger of the life force that pump your heart. So like as you all have studied in the law of karma, the Buddha mentioned there is a destructive karma. When destructive karma comes, the life force cut off. Understand? When life force cut off, what happened to you? Your heart cannot pump. Understand? When your heart cannot pump, your heart cannot deliver the blood to nourish all the organ, everything. That's why it will fail. So either the karmic force no more, then this random of consciousness inside will separate because it cannot pump and the organ all fail. Or when the karmic force is still there, the life force is still there, but you may have a disease, terminal, the vital organ fail. Then this consciousness also cannot be supported, cannot stay there. A better example would be, let's say you develop heart attack, understand? The heart failure. So even the life force is still there, but the heart, the muscle or the trigger of the heart attack has failed, collapsed. That's why that consciousness also have to leave, cannot stay inside. Yeah. So either the physical body develops the inability to support the consciousness, then it's separate. Or this life force, which is the main driving force for life or existence, has been cut off. So it's like a candlelight. Candlelight. You think your candle is so long. The light, you like it, it will maybe burn for so long. But sometimes not just necessary, isn't it? When the wind comes, blow the candle, it's like your life force cut off. Understand? Then sometimes the wick and the wax that are the condition for the candle to burn is having defect. And the wick sometimes, after halfway it burns, then the flame go off. Because there is problem with that thing. So any of these can lead to the so-called death process or cessation of that phenomena. The other one is when the wax all fully burn out, means you live the full life, no destructive karma in between, and no accident, nothing, the organ all sustain until time to die. So these are the causes and conditions that manifest. Then when they cease to be, they cease. So that being, the five aggregate of form and mind, or in our case, a living being, is not a permanent, unchanging entity. It's not you. That's why no one die, nothing die. What they call death is separation of the consciousness from the form. And to the doctor is no more heartbeat. All your organs fail already. They say you die already. That's why they got an instrument to measure your heartbeat. Once that one become a straight line, I don't know how you create that sound. No more vibration, no more up and down, and that's how it becomes a straight line. Means life has ended. So all this understanding will help if you develop the awareness within. Then you realize this form and mind is not you. It's dependent originating, condition arising. It is impermanent, tends towards suffering. It's not a permanent, unchanging entity. And this understanding is most important. Hopefully you can follow.